back to Hi Guys, BDR back here. So, let's talk about the Lich. They just now posted, the Lich class preview. This is going to be the full breakdown on the Lich, plus, preparation to, farm the Muramacons, which people should have been doing already. So the class arrives August 1st, which is, next week. So let's get down to business. So basically about the Lich is an endgame scaled version of the existing Necromancer class. Playing similarity with some powerful new tools in its kit. These include bonus damage to humans, decay, a magic resistance shred, a couple more skeletons, and a second life mechanic. So this has never been happened before, so they're introducing the second life mechanic, which is pretty nice. We'll have to see what happens. The Lich class can only be obtained in the More Skulls map during the Friday the 13th period. To unlock this class, you have to complete Grim Skulls and Nox's class quest, which requires the following. Level 80, you have to be at least level 80 to even, accept the quest, plus rank 10 Doomwood. Alright, then we have Klaatu's Neuramicon coming next week to the Necro Project map. Varata's Neuramicon, which is obtained in the Gal cell, requires rank 10 Grimskull Trolling. Nisito's Neuramicon obtained in the More Skulls map. And the most valuable thing of all, don't worry, you already have this, no extra farming requirements here. I don't know what this is. I'm going to give some bolder predictions probably towards the end of the video. Alright then, Lich details. Recommended enhancement, Wizard. Only in death can you truly embrace the darkness that lies within you. Channel it to raise an army of the dead and lead an assault across lore. The darkest power is now yours. Offensive caster, so we're already looking at Wizard plus Pneuma. Mana regen. Liches gain mana when they strike an enemy in combat, more effective on crits, or are struck by an enemy in combat, use Vital Sacrifice, restores 20 mana. Your auto attack, Hex. Long range, physical damage, 2 seconds. Unleash a Miasma of Death, dealing physical damage based on your spell power. Applies Death Blight to humans, an 8-second DOT that stacks to 25. Then we have Undead Assault. Your rank 1 skill, one target, 125% magical damage, long range, 20 mana cost, 6 seconds. Attack alongside your army. Deals double damage if Ex Mortis is active. So this is basically like, what was it? Like if you have your pet active, you deal double damage, similar to Necromancer. Then we have Wither. Your rank 2 skill, one target, 190% magical damage, long range, 20 mana cost, 5-second cooldown. Leech life from your target, dealing damage based on attack power while healing you. Applies Withered for 8 seconds, reducing your target's outgoing damage by 40% and crit damage by crit chance and dodge by 20%. If Ex Mortis is active, applies Necrotic Curse for 8 seconds, reducing your target's magic resistance by 40% and decay for 2 seconds, negating all non-lifesteal healing received. Then we have Vital Sacrifice. Your rank 3 skill, self-target, 70% magical, no mana cost, and a 1.5-second cooldown. Convert your life force into energy, damaging yourself based off of attack power and restoring 20 mana. If Ex Mortis is active, applies Necrotic Edge, increasing your crit chance by 20% and reducing mana cost by 25% for 10 seconds. Then we have Army of the Dead. Your rank 5 skill, 40 mana cost, and a cooldown of 3 seconds. Summons an army of undead minions to your side. Only appears if summoned outside of combat. Applies Deathly Frenzy, increasing your outgoing damage by 150% for 10 seconds. You conjure your darkest magic, applying Ex Mortis, which empowers the next skill that you use. Now it's time to our passives. Your rank 4 passives, Death's Protection, damage resistance and DOT resistance increased by 30%. Death's Enchantment, haste increased by 30% and hit chance increased by 20%. Beyond Death, your rank 10 passive, upon taking lethal damage, negate that instance of damage and apply Survive Death, fully restoring your health and mana. This effect can only occur once every 45 seconds. And then they write the conclusion right here. So also the Lich also introduces a new mechanic into the game. Upon reaching rank 10, you unlock the Beyond Death passive. This essentially functions as a second life where in an instance where your HP will reach 0, instead you will fully heal with the effect cooling down afterwards. Liches are known to be hard to kill, so we gave the class sign to reflect that characteristic. So there you go right there. That's basically the skills breakdown. Now let's go over, how to get these, Muramacons and other things. Alright guys, so the first requirement on there was kind of like you needed rank 10 Doomwood. Now, how to get, rank 10 Doomwood. I would say one of the easiest way to get rank 10 Doomwood is like, I'll just say complete the entire Doomwood story. Let me just put it up right here. If it's, no, world map, my bad. There it is. I'll just say complete Doomwood, Doomwood Part 2, Zombies, and then Doomwood Part 3. That's how I got to Doomwood rank 10 a long time ago when those stories released. So kind of like have your rep boosting items, especially when a rep server boost is on, just have them on, have your rep boosting stuff on, and complete the entire Doomwood story. And if you still aren't rank 10 by then, surprisingly, then you could just go on to Necro Dungeon, talk to this dude, Grim Dawn, and you could do the Doom Overlord challenge, which can give you 2,500 rep in the Doomwood faction. There's also the Executive, challenge, which can give you 5,000 rep, but you have to be a member to do that. All you have to do is basically, kill the Doom, Overlord, as you can see right here. So let's just, make things, easy on us. Right now, all you have to do is just, you don't even need like an end game class, even like a mid game class, you could be just fine with it. So, all you need is like at least like a decent soloer. But now since you really do need, since now that, you do need Doomwood rep to get the Lich class, I'm pretty sure there's going to be like a swarm of people here now. So after that, obviously, quest pinner, and you could just, turn in, and bam. The quest is also repeatable, by the way, so you can just repeat it as much times over and over. And don't forget that, the Doom Overlord also drops a pretty good amount of, undead energy. Obviously, I can accept it because I already have a full stack. See? I have a full stack of it. So, there's that. Alright then, let's talk about the Ramacon. Alright then, so for Varata's Neuramicon, you have to go to Galcel, and then you have to talk to Cashfear. In the shop, he's gonna have, Varata's Neuramicon. Now, I have been grinding Grimskull trolling. I'm still not at rank 10 yet, but when you do, you could just easily buy it. I can already hear someone, in the comments already. How come you don't already have it rank 10? You should have grinded it the moment you got Hardy. Oh, oh well. No, life. So yeah, like, just, how to get to rank 10 Grimskull. You just have to, like, basically do, the dailies. I mean, if you're a member, do all 3 of them. And if you can find a good party, and plus now they increase the rep for Grimskull trolling, so that plus like rep boosting items, and you could be just fine. There's also, don't forget the Raxborg and Menka Binky challenge fight. But hopefully, if you have some friends or you find like a good lobby, you can. But those are kind of like, the only ways to get to Grimskull trolling rank 10. After that, you could just buy Varata's Neuramicon. Alright then, let's move on to the next Neuramicon. Alright guys, so for the second Neuramicon, we're gonna have to go to the More Skulls map. That's pretty much after you complete the Friday the 13th floor. In the back right there, and you're gonna want to do their quests. So many skulls and whatnot. Then the shop. Here's how you get Nacito's Neuramicon. Here's the requirements. I've already made a video of how to grind this. How to grind the Friday the 13th floor. Link in the description right there. So yeah, there's no that. I'm pretty sure from what I heard they adjusted the boss so you can kind of do it by yourself. Here it is. I'm pretty sure it still has the detect life mechanic, whatnot. So keep that in mind. Plus it's undead, so you definitely want to grab, your undead boosting weapons like your, your BLOD variants and then go crazy. Alright then. Now it's time to talk about the last Neuramicon. Alright, so for Klaatu's Muramikon, they said they're gonna drop it in the Necro Project map. My guess is that Sally will probably have a merge shop or update this quest right here. You know, the hand me down or update all these quests so you can have, to farm these bosses, farm their engines to get Klaatu's Muramikon. Right here. This map is basically, just, accept the quest for each one. Kill these bosses. Right here, they're all undead tags. So like I said earlier, get your Blinding Light of Destiny variants and you'll be just fine. So you have Imperial Noxus right here. So, you have him. I feel like they're going to have a quest where, he's definitely going to be involved into getting the Klaatu's Muramikon. So all I have to do is, they're not really bad at all. I mean, with a full lobby, Imperial Noxus can get, defeated within seconds. Just to show, like, you can, solo the dude. That soloing the dude is possible if you somehow cannot find a lobby, which is, like, barely, because especially since they announced that the last Muramikon is going to be in a Necro Project map. This place is going to be swarming with people next week. Yeah, just like that. And also another thing about Imperial Noxus is that he drops a good amount of bone dust as well. So that's basically it. It's going to drop to this map. It's going to, Klaatu's Muramikon is going to drop to Necro Project next week. So make sure you complete, the quest line for this map, and you should, be on your way to getting the Lich class. All right, then. Let's talk about, closing thoughts, final thoughts. All right, my guesses for what this final item is. I mean, it says it's something that we already have. So, this is just, my guess. They're probably gonna ask for Necro Scroll of Dark Arts, since it is like an endgame class. And don't forget to, farm up your bone dust and your undead energy, since they're saying that it's something that we already have. So yeah, how do I feel about Lich so far? Based off of reading it, it sounds like it's gonna be a good soloer. On paper, it sounds like a good soloer. It could it could debuff the enemy. There's no self DLT, and I'm pretty sure the animations will go well. I think the combo for Lich is probably going to be something like, you have to use your 5 so you can get the Ex Mortis, and then, you just spam 2 and 3, and then 4 if you need mana. That's how I think the combo is going to go. Sounds similar to Necromancer. Now, in terms of enhancements, I'll just say, obviously, class enhancement wizard. The weapon of choice, you could probably go, I mean, between Ravenous, Arcanas, and, Elysium, because it does have, 20 mana cost and whatnot, it's between those three. I'm leaning towards more saying like Ravenous. It sounds like more of a Ravenous class, Helmet, Pneuma, and then like Cape will probably be Vainglory. So the enhancements kind of sound like, Wizard, Pneuma, Ravenous, Vainglory. That's just from what I've got, that's just, those are kind of like the enhancements I think will probably be, best for Lich based off of reading, the preview, the class skills. If you have any better ideas or better enhancements, then, options, comment section right down below. And yeah, guys, that's basically been it for this, Lich breakdown slash, preparation video. Make sure to like, share, subscribe for more content. And yeah, hi guys, out.